In 2002, Khalil Greene was drafted 13th overall by the San Diego Padres. 15 months later, Khalil made his Major League debut, and the next season he finished second in the National League Rookie of the Year. 3 seasons later, he finished with 27 bombs and 97 ribbies. But suddenly, just 29 months later, on February 21st, 2010, Khalil Greene stepped away from baseball due to dealing with social anxiety and would never return again. How did we get here, and who am I? Hi, I'm Blue, and this is the 7th inning stretch, where in today's video we are going to be talking about one of my favorite baseball players growing up, Khalil Greene. So grab a snack, take a seat, let's hop right into it. Khalil Greene was born on October 21st, 1979 in Butler, Pennsylvania. Okay, fine, I won't go that far back, but I do want to start at college for Khalil. He played for Clemson, and in his first 3 seasons, he played 201 games, and in 784 at-bats, he averaged a 348 batting average, a 437 on-base percentage, and a 538 slugging percentage, giving him an OPS of 975. He also clubbed 25 home runs and 185 ribbies in those 3 seasons, therefore playing well enough to get drafted in the 14th round with the 408th pick of the 2001 draft by the Chicago Cubs. Khalil was insulted, okay, not literally, but he declined and chose to go back to Clemson for his senior year, and good thing he did because he carried his team to the College World Series semifinals, totaling 134 hits and 285 at-bats with an absurd 470 batting average, a 552 on-base percentage, and an 877 slugging percentage, giving him an OPS of 1.429, clubbing 27 home runs, 97 ribbies, and adding 17 stolen bases in only 71 games, which helped him jump 395 spots in the 2002 draft when he was picked 13th overall by the San Diego Padres. He signed at the end of that month in June and started right away at Low A Eugene and High A Lake Elsinore. Here's a small sample size of how he batted in the 56 games that he played. As you see, in the 220 at-bats, he did have a 309 batting average and a 418 on-base percentage. However, there were scouts that were concerned. He only walked 17 times in those 220 at-bats, and the scouts were worried that he lacked plate discipline and patience. Despite this though, he started the 2003 season ranked number 2 in the Padres farm system behind Xavier Nady. He started the season in Double-A, and after 59 games, he got promoted to Triple-A. On August 6, 2003, the San Diego Padres would trade Jason Bay and Oliver Perez to the Pittsburgh Pirates for Brian Giles, who just came off 4 straight 35 home run plus seasons and 2 All-Star appearances. Then, 2 days later, the Padres traded the backup shortstop, Lou Merloni. At this time, the Padres shortstop, Ramon Vasquez, wasn't the worst hitter, but he did have 13 errors at the position in 108 games. The Padres wanted to see their young talent, and Khalil Greene made his Major League debut on September 3, 2003 against the Diamondbacks, just 439 days after his final Clemson at-bat. In his debut, he flew out and then made a nice defensive play in the 9th inning. In 20 short games, he had 14 hits and 65 at-bats with 2 home runs. Scouts felt that the Padres were rushing Greene, calling him up just 15 months after being drafted, and that he needed more time. On December 3, 2003, the GM of the Padres, Kevin Towers, shut down Nomar Garciaparra coming to San Diego by confirming his commitment with Khalil. Greene was the first positional player in the 2002 draft to hit the majors, and now he was going to be the starting shortstop for the 2004 season. Now, coming into the 2004 season, there was a lot of things to be excited about if you're a Padre fan. The Padres were moving out of Qualcomm and moving into Petco Park with a whole new identity, and with new players like David Wells and Ramon Hernandez, playing with Phil Nevin, Mark Loretta, Brian Giles, Jake Peavy, and Trevor Hoffman, the Padres were in win-now mode, just after finishing last place. Khalil Greene was also ready to get his first season way under his belt. Here's a little fun fact. Khalil Greene actually scored the first run in Petco Park history off a Sean Burroughs single. Khalil Greene made his impact known from the start, earning Rookie of the Month for April, batting 304 in the month.
There's a shot into the gap in right center field.
Castelli!
2-1 San Diego, and the kid comes through again. You can paint the Rookie of the Month trophy green.
Khalil also made some magical plays for shortstop that quite literally made me play baseball. Literally. He took the baseball world by storm on May 15, 2004, as Khalil made these 3 plays in one game.
Good utility type guy.
Great play by Khalil Greene. Pass to Reginald. Oh, the other
fact, let me just roll some defensive highlights that he made in just that one season alone. Khalil added another Rookie Player of the Month in August. Then unfortunately on September 13th, Khalil broke a bone in his right index finger, which kept him out of the lineup for the rest of the year, and was probably a factor in him finishing second in the Rookie of the Year to Jason Bay. Remember him? Still, Khalil put up these rookie numbers, which is really solid for a rookie, especially with this insane defense. The Padres finished 87 and 75, placing him third place in the NL West and just missing the wildcard spot by 5 games. But the season as a whole was a big improvement from the previous season. With bigger expectations coming into the 2005 season, Khalil had a rocky start. On April 16th, he broke his right ring finger, which kept him out until May 9th. In the next 81 games he played, he hit for .261 with 10 home runs and 44 ribbies. Then again on August 14th, Khalil left the game with a fractured left big toe, returning again on August 30th. In his final 29 games, he batted a .228 with an on-base percentage of .270. However, of his 23 hits, 7 were doubles and 5 were home runs, which was the same amount that he had in the whole first half. Well, for home runs. Also adding on 21 ribbies to help the Padres secure the division in the NL West. The Padres had to take on the best team in baseball, the 162 St. Louis Cardinals. The Padres lost in 3 games, however Greene was 4 for 10 with 2 doubles and an RBI during that series. Just a couple of those highlights right now.
The liner that was just missed by Eckstein. That ball out into left center. Sweeney tagging up, and he will score. Another fly ball out for Khalil Greene, but this one, Khalil Greene down the left field line. That's his first hit of the game. Having to go in after it now is Mabry, as Greene has a double. He had an RBI with a fly ball in the 7th.
Top half of the 4th inning, Khalil Greene stings a line drive base hit right by Nunez, the third baseman. So Greene, who made it, then he got the next 2 men out. This one flying into right center field, into the alley. That's going to drop down and bounce up against the fence, where Edmonds picks it up, but it's going to be a double for Khalil Greene. He walks in.
The young Padres shortstop ended the season with a stat line, and considering his struggles with the injury, he still had 15 home runs and 70 ribbies. One thing I thought was super interesting from this year was the comparison to Khalil's stats from when the Padres won from when the Padres lost. As you can tell, Khalil was a completely different player when the Padres won, which I thought was super interesting. Now here we are in the 3rd full year of Khalil's career, the 2006 season, which trust me is an interesting season for Khalil. In the first month in April, he batted a low .200, but he did have 4 home runs and 13 ribbies. Then in the first 9 games in May, Greene got hot, batting a .333, and he did also have an OPS of 1.088 with 3 home runs and 11 ribbies. And again, starting on May 21st, he got in a cold spell, hitting a low .206 with these not very good splits. Then from June 27th to August 1st, which was the trade deadline, Khalil hit 5 home runs with 17 ribbies with way better splits in 29 games. But then more sequence of bad luck followed on August 3rd. Greene hurt his right middle finger, missing the next 6 games, calling it a sprain. He did return on August 11th, but then just 2 days later, Khalil would get hit again against the Giants. He played the next 4 games till he was getting off. The Padres manager, Bruce Bochy, said, "His finger really hasn't come around. We'll reevaluate him. He may need 2 or 3 days. He's having a rough time swinging the bat." Then the next day, on August 18th, Khalil was placed on the 15-day DL. However, 14 days later, Bochy called Greene's batting session disappointing when he was still unable to swing the bat with 2 hands with 1 day till his return. The next day, September 3rd, the Padres called his injury a torn ligament in his left middle finger, officially making him only a pitch runner for the rest of the season. On October 2nd, Khalil said that he had fully recovered, and again the Padres were taking on the Cardinals in the first round of the playoffs. With questions still around Khalil's finger, he only batted in games 3 and 4, going to combine 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. The Padres lost. Now coming into the 2007 season, Khalil still had a lot to prove. And on March 11, 2007, just after hitting his second home run of the spring, there was a report that he thinks he would hit a lot more home runs if not for his cavernous home ballpark. And after a hot spring, Greene was batting 6th in the Padres lineup. The first month of the season was solid for Greene. He had a .265 batting average with a .529 slugging percentage, giving him an OPS of .829. He did belt 4 bombs and 11 doubles, adding 17 ribbies to the mix. Then after a down May, which included an 0 for 18 slump, from June 2nd till the All-Star break, Khalil got hot, hitting 8 home runs and 23 ribbies with a .298 batting average, a .331 on base percentage, and a slugging percentage of .561, giving him an OPS of .892 in the 29-game stretch. In the first half, Khalil would hit 15 home runs and had 51 RBIs, and of those 15 home runs, 8 of those were at Peggle Park, after hitting only 15 in San Diego prior to the season out of 47 in his career. After the All-Star break till the end of August 31st, he had 4 home runs and 23 ribbies with a .261, .299, .417, .716 slash line in 45 games, which wasn't bad considering he had a pretty bad slump to end July. But he did heat up again to end August. Then in September, Greene blasted 8 bombs to give him 27 on the season, and he also added 23 ribbies, which brought him up to 97. He also ended the season with 44 doubles, which was 7th in the National League. I also want to bring up these key stats to show how important Khalil was to the 2007 Padres' success. In the 84 games that they won, with Khalil playing, he had 18 bombs and 79 ribbies, with a .298, .337, .566, and .903 slash line. The Padres ended the season a tiebreaker against the Rockies. And well, we all know what happened here.
Jamie Carroll, the batter. To right field. Giles is there to make the catch. Tagging is Holiday. The throw to the plate. He is safe. Finally, he said safe, but not until after Barrett got the baseball.
Matt Holliday never touched home plate. I just want to say this one last time. Matt Holliday never touch home plate. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter though. I'm not bitter. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not bitter. In the 2008 offseason, just after finishing with career highs in home runs and RBIs, Greene signed a 2-year, $11 million contract to stay with the Padres. Khalil also said that he wanted to stay with the Padres after the contract was up, stating, "I don't want to go anywhere. Ideally, I could stay here for the rest of my career as a baseball player. There's nowhere else I'd rather play than San Diego." The 2008 season started rough for Khalil. In his first 51 games, he had 5 home runs and 21 ribbies with a .225 batting average. He also struck out 50 times. Then in the next 38 games, till the All-Star break, he had 3 home runs and 11 ribbies with a .222 batting average, also striking out 35 times in that span. Khalil had a rough first half as a whole, batting only .216 with 8 home runs and 32 ribbies, and also striking out 85 times in 92 games. The second half didn't get much better. In fact, it got a lot worse. In the 109th game of the season for Khalil, he struck out for the 100th time, and he got so mad that he punched a dugout equipment chest in frustration, causing him to injure his right hand, also costing him the whole season, and probably costing him his Padre career. Coming into the 2009 season, the Padres were rebuilding and wanted to deal Greene. There wasn't a lot of teams that were exactly jumping for Khalil. However, Tony La Russa, the manager of the Cardinals, did his research and liked what he saw. So the Padres traded Khalil Greene for 2 minor league pitchers, one being Luke Gregerson. When Greene was traded, the Padres manager Bud Black said he hoped the introverted shortstop would stop internalizing poor performances, which I think was a sign of Khalil's fall off. In the spring of 2009, Khalil actually started super hot, hitting .418 with only 3 strikeouts and 71 at-bats, which was really cool. However, Khalil couldn't take that momentum into the season, where in the first 18 games he only made 5 errors and batted a low .230. In May, dealing with some injuries, he continued to struggle, where he was told by Tony La Russa in late May that he was going to play less in the near future. Then on May 26th, this disturbing article was published on Bleacher Report stating, "Report, Khalil Greene might be cutting himself." This is how that article goes. Throughout the article, in one part it says, "When we first learned about Greene's anxiety problems, we just thought it was the same thing Zach Greinke and Dontre Willis went through. To my knowledge, this is not even close." If you don't know, Dontre Willis and Zach Greinke are 2 known pitchers in the MLB that have dealt with anxiety issues. And later in the article it says, "While there has been no public clarification of actual problem, Greene has recently admitted to self-abuse. He says that he has the same issue since childhood, but has increased over the past few years. Unfortunately, the public is now starting to realize how serious and scary Greene's issue actually is. This is an excerpt from the Post-Dispatch's Joe Strauss. Teammates noticed Greene punishing himself during the season's first road trip. When one Cardinal player approached Greene in the Wrigley dugout to ask what he was doing, Greene responded of his frustration, "It's the only way I can get it out." Last weekend, Greene left PNC Park in Pittsburgh with one hand bleeding. He had not sought treatment from the team's training staff. One person in uniform described Greene's struggle as scary. And then it says, according to this, if this is true, it appears Khalil Greene cuts himself to relieve stress. The only good thing about this is Khalil knows he needs to fix a problem. He is not denying it whatsoever. Even sitting lately, Pujols has shown some real concern for Khalil's game and has, in a way, taken Greene under his wing. Before the games, you can find Greene out there with Pujols trying to figure out what is wrong with his back. Later it says, get better, my man. But this article is just really sad to me. Really, I'm a loss of words that this came out in the middle of the season. It actually came out on May 26th. And that's just really, really crazy to me. It's crazy that baseball is already the hardest sport. And I don't want to say that as far as I don't want to get into controversy. But I'm talking about as far as success-wise, baseball is the hardest sport. There is no sport that you could be successful 30% in and be considered really, really good at whatever you do. If you hit a 300 in batting, you're really, really good. If you shoot 30% in basketball from 3, from field goal, from the free throw line, that's really bad. If you complete 30% of your passes in football, that's really bad. So baseball is already a really hard sport because, the odds of success are already really hard. So to think that another player was hurting themselves and giving themselves a harder time when the sport is already hard, that's crazy to me. The next day, on May 27th, he was placed on the 15-day DL due to social anxiety disorder. Then when he came back on June 18th, he played in 8 games, but then went back on the disabled list due to a reoccurrence of symptoms associated with social anxiety disorder on June 29th. Then again, with the team needing an extra infielder and Khalil's rehab option about to expire, he was recalled to take the roster spot. He didn't really bat too much for the rest of the season, receiving 40 at-bats with 1 home run and 5 ribbies, only hitting 200. In 77 games, Khalil ended the season with 6 home runs and 24 ribbies with a 200 batting average for the Cardinals. He wasn't on the postseason roster and filed for free agency in November. On January 9, 2010, he signed a 1-year, $750,000 contract with the Rangers, but then it was reported that he wasn't going to attend spring training because he was still suffering from anxiety problems. And that was the end of the career for Khalil Greene. Khalil Greene ended his career with 90 home runs and 352 RBIs. He also had a batting average of .245 and an on-base percentage of .302, with a .422 slugging percentage, giving him an OPS of 723 in 7 seasons. Okay, now growing up watching Khalil Greene, I did learn a lot about him. And a lot of the memories came back to me of watching him, watching all these plays, watching all these crazy acrobatic plays that he would make. And if we're being honest, he might have been an average hitter as far as on the stat sheet, and maybe at times above average. I feel like he was kind of a better hitter when his team was winning. Maybe, early in his career on the road. But either way, his hustle was what shined, and his glove was what shined. He was an absolute wizard, and I hope he knows that he did inspire people, because at the very least, he did inspire me. Khalil Greene lives a private life now, and I hope he's getting the help that he needs. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I hope if you're an athlete, I hope that you remember that it's just a game.